So your first go through of it, what were your thoughts on CLB?
Yeah, first listen, I'm not gonna lie, it definitely was several shots of tequila deep. Like everyone else, I think we kind of feel like these drops by Drake are kind of like a holiday almost. So, or even like New Year's Eve.
Work should have been canceled, like canceled.
Basically. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Canada made it a holiday.
Yeah,
but first listen, honestly, I was disappointed and I had time to reflect on why. And I think a lot of other people agree. And it's just a combination of things. And I think the context is important. But like for me personally, Drake's, wins the Artist of the Decade title. The album gets delayed 9 months. And I know like a bunch of episodes I kept saying like, the hype is, so strong now. Like I feel like I might be disappointed, but who knows? So that added to it. He does the whole Billboard thing. And I'm just expecting, I guess, like a new perspective or story from him. And while I thought the songs were above average, if you compare it to everyone else in the industry, I was like, okay, this was it. Like, it felt like just kind of like a dump of dope songs that he had lying around. And it was like, here, guys. And I guess it was anticlimactic. So that's why I felt that way on first listen.
Okay, so I will give you my genuine so on first listen is where I fucked up and was strictly comparing it to Donda, right? So on first listen, I'm just like, my head has been brainwashed by all of us, including you and I, that like, who's gonna have the better album, right? Which like we'll get into, like, it shouldn't fucking matter who was better. It's just like, did you enjoy it, right? So in first run through, I'm like, this is better, right? That's all I'm thinking about. Like, am I enjoying this experience more than my first run through with Donda, right? Because my first run through with Donda, I know the atmosphere you're in matters, but bro, I was on a plane, fucking cramp ass seats, like songs are mad fucking long, flight's almost over, album's not almost over. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on right now, right? Like, it was just like it wasn't a good experience at all, like at every level. So my first experience with CLB, it was a more enjoyable album, right? Like from the jump, more songs that are upbeat, fun. I'm at the gym, fucking knife talk and way too sexy, just hit you differently, right? So I'm like, yo, this is fun. But I also came to the end of that listen and it felt like I may have heard these songs before, if that makes sense, right? Like, it wasn't anything that was like, oh my God, stop everything. But, I mean, I've never heard a sound like this before, right? When we heard, to your point, we were talking offline, like God's Plan or YOLO for the first time, like, other Drake bangers that like, it makes you just fucking take a step back. It's like, bro, like, what the fuck is he doing on the song right now? So my thing with CLB, like first run through, was like, me personally, better than Donda, but nothing that felt like he pushed the envelope, because it just felt like I've heard this album before, right? It was just, again, and that just may be his formula, right? Like, I know what to do. I'm gonna have enough songs just for women, enough songs that are kind of in between. I have enough bangers. And then because this motherfucker's trying me, I'm gonna have like 2 or 3 songs that I'm just taking direct shots at him, which is a little bit different if we're gonna, be honest, from other shit he's done. But first run through, I'm just like, better than Donda, but not blown away. That was my reaction.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And it's crazy how much your perspective can change over a couple of weeks with music. But I'd say I agree with enjoying CLB more. For me personally, that's just more like my musical style. So for anyone listening, I do think creating a Donda requires more artistic talent in a sense. And it was definitely more of an experience. But for me personally, my subjective opinion was that CLB was just easier to listen to and more cohesive, but it wasn't anything groundbreaking or brand new that Drake brought to the table. And I think that's why so many people are criticizing it. And it works for him and it has worked. But I think he's not going to be Artist of the Decade again if we just get 10 more CLBs or whatever the case is. People are going to love him still. He's still going to sell out shows and shit. But if he wants to be in that conversation of being like the GOAT and all that, I feel like he's gonna have to switch it up or talk about something else. I don't know, but it didn't seem like there was many memorable moments from this album to where people were talking about it, except for the lesbian thing, the cover art, and Way Too Sexy.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So again, but we were very specific in this initial conversation, that first run through, right? So second, third, fourth, whatever number you're on right now, how has CLB grown on you?
For me, the second, third, fourth listen, I think I really appreciated the variety. And I think that's something I've noticed with Drake is like everyone likes a specific persona that he puts on. Like some of my brothers are like, I only fuck with R&B Drake. I don't like when he raps. For me personally, I love when he raps. I'm not really a fan of the R&B stuff. Some people love the dance hall, Caribbean type stuff.
Yeah, that was my worst. I like that in general, but we'll get to specific songs. I think that was the only bro, this song has no business being on this album. You know what I'm talking about? The one with that girl from Essence and Wizkid? Mm-hmm. I was like, bro, you're reaching on this one. That was the only one I'm like, my nigga, nah. But all right.
I felt that way at first, but then the second, third listen, I was like, this song, while it doesn't seem like it fits at all, I actually love that song now.
It was a vibe. Okay, fair.
Yeah. That's some shit like if I was in Hawaii or something, it would make sense. But when you go from 21 Savage gang shit to that song, I'm like, where am I now? I fucking stepped through a portal or some shit. But the future shit, the trap shit, that sounded like something that might have been off What a Time to Be Alive or something.
Which we were just talking about, which is dope. For me, I was like, one of my thoughts, listening to multiple, I was like, bro, I need What a Time too. That's what the fuck I need. You know what I mean? I was actually wanting that. But keep going, my bad, I didn't cut you off.
But yeah, I think for me, the second, third listen, I had to take a step back. I had to not compare it to Donda or his old albums or the Beef or any of the other shit. And I was like, okay, this is a fun body of work. And if you just remove the context of that shit, then you can definitely enjoy this album.
Yeah. So same, dude. So I'm, I think, on my fourth, fifth run. So my honest opinion, it was that I thoroughly enjoyed the album the more I listened to it. For just to your point, for what it is, a Drake album, right? Sometimes we're fiending for a fucking feature, and it's bro, just be grateful you got 21 tracks of him fucking spitting, right? And dude, there's a bunch of standouts for me, bro. And I know we were talking about this, so we can go into my top three was Way Too Sexy, I Miss You Too with Cudi, which, bro, that might dude, we've been waiting fucking 15 years for that song. You know what I mean? How Drake got a better feature than Kanye from Cudi is wild to me. And then 7 a.m. on Bridal Path, I know we had him going at Meek, but bro, this felt more real, and we'll get to later, if this whole beef for him and Kanye is even real, probably isn't. But that song made me feel no, this dude actually hates this fucking guy and would love to get him one-on-one. Cause again, we joke around yo, I hate when Drake talks his gangster shit, but that's why I appreciate Knife Talk so much. Cause let 21 Savage talk the goon shit, and then you're just saying, bro, I dare you to try me, cause look who the fuck I roll with. You know what I mean? That's who I think what Drake really is trying to get at. Bro, I'm not that guy, but the people I roll with are. And that's try me, dog. So I enjoyed Knife Talk, so, but not my top three. So for me, top three were Way Too Sexy, I Miss You Too, 7 a.m. Bridal Path. But dude, TSU, In the Bible, YOLO Part 2, Knife Talk, Love for All, and Girls Want Girls. Bro, what is that? 9 songs that are all I would happily repeat over and over again. That in itself tells you what kind of album we got, right? So it's just a good fucking body of work, bro. It really is. He also, to my point, has a few songs that I'm it didn't have to be here. But if we go back to the comparison, we'll get even more later on. But what I enjoyed about him with those songs that felt longer than normal, he went back to his old approach of almost making it 2 songs in one, right? The beat change, and he's still on topic, but it's just kind of a whole different song, but kind of the same song, like almost back to like his Take Care album. Whereas my beef with Donda is like, bro, you making songs like 9 minutes that don't have to be 9 minutes, and like it's just like 3 or 4 hooks on a song. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love Jail Part 2, but I'm like, does this shit have to be so fucking long? You know what I mean? So that's what I appreciate even more. You know, when I was running through the CLB again, is like, bro, like there's like actual craftsmanship in trying to make this sound slightly different from the normal Drake form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely agree. And maybe that's why I didn't like Donda on first listen, was because it felt like it needed and deserved like a more cinematic experience, like either in the car or just on speakers. But I had this shit just playing on my phone, like 10 feet away from me, and I'm like, this is it. And then I took the time and I had a different perspective. But in terms of CLB, my top 3, I guess in this order, Fair Trade, probably my favorite one. You know, I love Travis, but
and that's the funny thing, that's not even any of my top 9. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
So that's what tells you how like unique this body work really is.
Yeah, everyone definitely has their different favorites from this one, which is dope, because that means he did something right. So Fair Trade, I thought Drake was just like classic Drake and killed that like emotional, I have no friends type shit. And then second, the Kid Cudi one, I thought the intro was super like emotional.
Oh, bro, that Juice WRLD was phenomenal, dog. Phenomenal.
And it reminded me of my brother too, because when he passed, Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon had come out. And then also I was in Hawaii when it happened.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that. Yeah.
I remember it came on and I was like looking outside, and that moment, obviously there's bias to it, but I thought the song was just like super dope, and again, exciting to see them come together. Come together after all the shit that they've been through, especially with the Kanye beef.
Dude, but even they had beef though, right? Like even I think Drake had a rap line or some interview where he was like, yo, go get mental help, don't kill yourself tonight. I was like, bro, like, yo, what do we?
Which also reminds you like how much goes on behind the scenes that we just never see. Like it's not in a tweet or an Instagram post. Like there's clearly a lot going on that will.
And also remind you just how young these niggas are, bro. Like clearly like young 20 millionaires, like ready to say whatever the fuck they want, because like, yo, who's gonna check me? You know what I mean? Like, so it was definitely a dope moment to just see them, you know, on a track together.
And then last but not least, No Friends in the Industry. I think this one, like out of all the ones, definitely is one of the few that has like big hit potential. And I don't know, I just like that aggressive energy. I know like what you mentioned with Knife Talk, when Drake talks his shit, and he's not necessarily implying that he's gonna go shoot up somebody or anything, but when he just is in his bag and is talking his shit, I like that a lot. Kind of like was it Energy from If You're Reading This It's Too Late? Kind of like that style. So again, I think there's a lot of different moods you could pick and choose from this album.
Right. And I really do think, bro, like think back to anything, man. Like listening to certain songs, albums, body of work, like it really what you can relate to the most out of it, right? So like my thing, if we're gonna rate or compare the two albums, like, bro, there's just more stuff that 30-year-old young individuals who been in the dating scene, lucky enough to have a good standard of living, can just relate to more, right? With Drake, or aspire to be, right? Like, so he touches us on like, on like multiple levels that we're like, bro, like, why wouldn't I enjoy listening to this more? But then where I think Donda got me, we'll take a left real quick to Kanye, where I think Donda got me after multiple run-throughs. I think I'm on my third run through now of Donda, is that, bro, like there's a lot of songs on that. I think one specifically being Jesus Lord Part 2 with Jay Electronica and the Locks. Again, it's just 9 minutes long, but it still slaps. But like again, that's a dude who lost his mom. I lost my mom. Religious, I'm religious. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of inspirational shit on this album that if you've been in those moments yourself, you're like, damn, I really relate to this, dog. And also it's like aspiring. It's not talking about just being sad. It's like, yo, be good, trust God, like you're gonna be fine. Like, and then the line he has about his mom, like, the one about like you left the party too early. Once you left, the party stopped. Like that shit hit me on a real deep level, bro. Because again, it was my mom's birthday a couple weeks ago. I'm in a group chat with all her friends. And dude, my mom was like like her last 5 years of her life, she just threw parties. Like she was like she threw massive parties in India. That's what people knew her for. Yeah. So like, and obviously COVID happened and she passed away like right in the midst of COVID. And like one of her friends was like, Fenny, you passed away and all the parties just stopped happening, right? So like that shit hit me on a deep level, which again, your average listener who hasn't lost someone yet, you know, because we're all gonna lose someone at some point in our lives, like maybe just doesn't get it, right? So on more listens of Donda and then trying, like to your point, trying to understand what he was trying to do. Like to put Donda together is a fucking like thing to achieve in itself. To just come close to that is wild. And then it really has to be, I think, something you see in person. Like there's no way you fully get the enjoyment of this album just listening through your speakers, headphones, wherever the fuck you're at. Like you have to be there, bro, because think about those drawn out moments and then a random voice just chimes in and then you're like, oh wow, that would be sick live, because you know what I mean? You think it's over, next song, and he just brings it back, right? It's kind of like I remember going to Life of Pablo tour and that song he has Freestyle 4, whatever, when he just like grimy, but he just pauses, lets the beat ride, and then it just looking at the mosh pit go crazy. Like that's what I could think of like for this album. Like I think you just have to be there, bro, to properly understand it. And then you'll get a true essence of what he was going for, right? So like, that's why I think like both our ratings, if you ask against now, it's a higher rating for Donda because you kind of understand what he was trying to achieve with the album. And then again, it's like, depending on where you're at mentally, it just hits harder for you.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely agree with that take. And it kind of reminded me of when we were at Coachella, and we saw the Sunday service and like how whack that might probably sound on fucking Apple Music or whatever the case is.
But, or just watching it from your computer. Like if you're not like there, that shit looks like, yo, what are we doing, bro? Like I'm looking through a fisheye camera, like what the fuck are we doing?
Right. But in person, it was like one of the dopest experiences I could have had. And I feel like that really is what Donda was meant to be. And it makes it so hard to compare these two, but they were basically released at the same time and like two of the biggest artists ever, especially within hip hop. And it's crazy that we are kind of forced to pick and choose a side when they're not even the same thing.
Yeah. That's the annoying part. And again, I blame myself and you as well. Like we fed into this shit, right? Like we were like, yo, when is it dropping? And I'm like, oh, they're dropping the same time. So dude, again, like my first run through, like I was only focused, is this better than Donda? I'm like, is this a good album? Is the intro slap? So yeah, that's annoying. But then what I will go back to Donda and discuss is that, yes, I do think this album was made for consumption in person, but at the end of the day, it's still an album, bro. And like, I don't like that we need Kanye or Kanye's team to explain certain things for us to be like, okay, I see what you were trying to do, right? With the whole Donda chant, right? Like, apparently that was like based off her heartbeat and like the number, and it was 55 times because she lived to be 55 or 56. Like, and that's amazing, dude. But like, it didn't sound good. You know what I mean? So like, why should I feel bad? Because like, I'm like, bro, like I get what you were trying to do, but at the end of the day, like it's also, I mean, again, these guys are billionaires, bro. Like you can put out whatever the fuck you want. Like who the fuck are we, two guys on fucking YouTube talking shit, right? Like it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, if you are making music for consumption, like I don't think you should put art out and then once people give you weird feedback, then give out the explanation for every single thing you did, right? Like then our opinion really doesn't matter for shit. Like I hate like when people like literally just put shit on a wall and like, oh, but this is from France and this is what I'm like, bro, shut the, this is shit on a wall. You know what I mean? Like, so like that's the only thing I don't like about Donda. It's like it comes out, does crazy numbers, which it's gonna do, but then the overall feedback isn't great. And then now we're getting lessons on why we should like the album for all these other reasons. I'm like, nah, dog, like, it was all right, but like it's not really meant to be consumed audially. Like it's just not.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, stands on either side are gonna defend both albums to the death. And at the end of the day, it is pretty subjective. You know, the 14-year-old who wants to pop Molly to Way Too Sexy or whatever is gonna feel different than gonna feel different than the 35-year-old who wants to sip wine to fucking Moon or whatever that song with was it Don Toliver?
That was fire, dog. That was fire. Bro, but you know what I am gonna give a just before we get into comparison completely, but like what I will give an edge to with Drake, and Kanye does this shit all the time. Even Travis does it, but like his albums aren't overwhelmed with features. Bro, put the names of the people on your album on the fucking album, dog.
Yeah.
Like, why am I guessing? Like why am I guessing?
Yeah.
Like I should know. And then there's one song, bro, that I think Lil Yachty is featured, but it was meant to also have 5Yo Foreign, so it has 5Yo Foreign's ad-libs, but then it's Lil Yachty rapping. I'm like, bro, what is happening? Like right. I should know this going in. So that's like the one thing that annoyed the fuck out of me. I'm like, bro, who am I listening to right now?
Right.
So
yeah, and I didn't even know Chris Brown was on the album until Chris Brown was like, yo, he didn't even include my full verse on it. You know that song New Again? It's towards the end, but that one's actually one of my top 3 from it. But Chris Brown's like part of the chorus and not listed, and I didn't know like there's fucking 30.
But he had like a longer verse and he removed it.
Yeah, he had a longer verse and that was completely removed. But like you could vaguely tell that it's Chris Brown. Of course, it's like a whole choir and Chris Brown, but I was like, yo, why didn't he just credit all of these people? It seemed like he was on a mission to like not credit anyone for anything these past couple months.
Yeah, cause it'd be one thing, because I remember, Travis did the same thing with Astro, right? We didn't get the credits, and then when you hear Sicko Mode, you're like, oh shit, Drake's up. But my nigga, you got 27 songs and like 34 features. Like we need to know what the fuck is happening.
Right. I don't know if there was some other artistic reason for that, so we wouldn't like skip tracks and shit, but
maybe, dude. But I'm just like, yeah, that's like, if we're talking about just straight off, like off the bat, who gets a point? Drake gets a point for that, bro, because I'm like, you're not wasting my time. But I'm like, bro, like, there's like one song I actually enjoy. I don't remember the name off the bat, but like, I'm like, who is this dude rapping? And like, I still have no idea who it is.
I know. I think I had to go on YouTube or something to like do a whole fucking investigation to figure out who some of these people were.
Yeah. Again, so to put not a nail in this, but just like to give CLB the proper respects it deserves. So what would your rating for now, 4 listens, or at least 4 listens for me, 3 for you, of CLB, what would be the proper rating for it?
And this is like not in comparison to anything else, just like
not
its
just
own
the
body.
album.
Okay.
Yeah,
just the album. If 10 is like a classic and 5 is like there's barely any repeatables, but it's not trash, I'd probably say 6.5 on a good day, a 7. Probably 6.5 feels more right to me.
All right, so I'm gonna give it a 7.5. So it's like a C+, bro. That seems low, to be honest, like on that scale.
I think letter grade would be easier for me than out of 10.
So then what letter grade would you give it?
For me, I would give it, I'll just give it a B.
Yeah, so I would give it a B as well, right? Like I would give it a solid B, like, because like, 7, I was gonna go with 7.5. I'm like, 75, like that just seems like, it's better than that, right? Like it's definitely better than that. I would give it a B on just the album alone. Like, again, like, dude, I listed off 9 songs I fuck with. You listed off 2 more that I also fuck with, you know what I mean? So if we have 11 songs now that we both would thoroughly bump over and over again, you have a fucking very good body of work. Now, this is Drake's problem. We've mentioned this for years, not years, but for multiple episodes of this podcast, that he is only being compared to himself right now. So if Yachty, 5Yo, Uzi put out this body of work, bro, they're getting fucking accolades like, the dawn of a new era, right? But Drake is only being compared to Drake, and it's like, it's not, Take Care, It's not,
nothing
so
was the
far.
same.
Yeah, it's none of that shit, right? So that's the thing, right? So, but I think a very good body of work, but I would have to give it a B. So now let's take a few steps back to last week's episode. If you had to regrade Donda, you gave it a 6, I gave it a 6.5. So now using a proper letter rating, what would you give Donda now after properly taking it?
I'd probably say a B minus. And I think it just really does have to do with kind of the repeat tracks, the messiness of it, and some of the things that I wish were different. And if we're comparing Kanye to Kanye, I feel like his previous bodies of work blow the shit out of the water. But yeah, I'd say a B minus.
Yeah. Fuck, man. I thought we were coming here to fucking throw balls, bro. I'm probably gonna agree with you on that one as well. But but for similar points though, bro, like I think it's inspirational, right? Like there is a message in the messiness with it, right?
Yeah.
Like I think I stand by my comments from last week though, right? Like what I didn't like, it was just all over the place. Still all over, but I do love, like, dude, it's a Christian album with, he got the most popular hip hop artist to just talk about God in some capacity. It's dedicated to his mom. Like, these are all things that me as a human being just fucking connects with. So I'm like, bro, these are all phenomenal things. And then again, in dissecting it more, I did enjoy some songs more than I did previously. So I'm gonna go with a B minus, C plus, B minus, like right in that range, right? I think if we remove 9 songs, dude, you have everything that's built for a classic album. Like, I thoroughly believe that shit, bro. But you can't take away from, like, bro, there's like, you have a lot of throwaway songs, bro. And then unlike Drake, again, we have to compare because it is what it is. Like, they happen to fall in the same week. Like, we have to. But like, unlike Drake, bro, like, I really think it's a mixture. You tell me, these motherfuckers essentially have the same features on most of these albums, right? Mm-hmm. I really do think though, there's more. If you're the featured artist, I think they themselves had more hype going into the Donda body of work that, these motherfuckers came correct, dog. But in doing that, dude, Kanye just sounds like, he fired a few fucking ghostwriters. It's like, some of his lyrics were just like, didn't hit. Like, and back in the day, like, I remember like those good, we mentioned last week, like those Good Friday drops, like, bro, I don't give a fuck how long the song was. I was looking for the Kanye verse because that's just gonna be fucking clever, witty, and just have you dying. And like most of this album, even the ones that fucking hit, I'm just like, bro, all right, man. Like, I get what you're trying to say, but like that shit was, you know what I mean? This is your album, bro. Like, don't come at me like you're the person. No, this is your album, and there's plenty of songs. We'll get to the diss track where you can fucking spit, but it just seemed like rushed. You know what I mean? Like, just like, all right, I got the verse I wanted. Let me just get my vocals on it and let's put it out and get another song going. I'm just like, bro, come on, man. Like, take a step back. So, and we got to compare. That's why I appreciate CLB more. Like, I think for the most part, Drake carried his weight or was the best verse on every song that he's featured with another artist on. Because again, it's your fucking album, bro. Like, again, even Jay-Z has been mocked by somebody else in his own song. But like, it can't be a consistent thing. Whereas like, like you're like the 3rd or 4th best verse on your own fucking album. Like, that's weird.
Yeah. I mean, maybe for Kanye, I feel like thematically he was kind of like restricted in a sense. So he had that like weird Adam rib bar and stuff like that. And I don't know. I haven't tried to like make a super religious song before, but I feel like there's only so much you can really do, or maybe it just didn't come as naturally for him or what, because I feel like a lot of the stuff I do like from him is a lot more aggressive and has a different tone.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. So that's probably a wonderful tangent